All right, so we are here with Josh Shreve, director and writer of Talon Falls.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed your movie.
Oh, great.
I did. I've been watching a lot of independent films, and, you know, some of them are what they are, and yours just exceeded my expectations, so.
Well, that's always good to hear.
Yes, bravo on that. So we had quite a few questions for you. One was, how did you get started in the filmmaking biz?
Well, I always, since I was a kid, loved movies. I mean, I was just, it was just always something I loved to do. I was always watching movies. And I was the kid that got my friends together and, we would start making, I took my parents, camcorder back in the 90s and, we would shoot little action films and we blow things up and, do all kinds of things. I always knew that I wanted to work in movies. So really it was out of high school. I got hooked up with a producer in Oklahoma named Kent Hammond, who actually also was a producer on Talon Falls, who got me into the business. And I started working as a production assistant and did that for a few years and then kind of worked up and started camera assisting and then started operating and then ended up directing Talon Falls with a buddy of mine, Jeff Steinborn, who was the DP on that. And so that's kind of how I got started in the business. And one thing led to another, and that's how we ended up making a movie.
Okay. And are you affiliated with like the people who own the actual Scream Park?
Yeah, so I was working on a documentary in Paducah, Kentucky that was kind of about the whole area. And one of the things that we were sent out to cover was Talon Falls, the actual Scream Park. And that's how I became friends with Todd Farron and Shel Farron. We stayed in touch and I ended up shooting a couple other things for them. And then all of a sudden one year, just thought, hey, it'd be a perfect place to do a horror movie. We've already got the locations and we've got so much production value and we've got, access to all the actors who are part of the park. So I was like, why don't we just write a script that kind of takes place with what we already know that we have. And that's kind of how the project came to be. And so, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Talon Falls, the Scream Park, is actually an actual Scream Park where you can literally go visit. And
right. And yeah. we looked that up, and that was really interesting. So when you shot the scene of all of those people waiting in line, did you just choose one of their busiest nights, or did you actually get extras to come out and do the scene?
No, so yeah, that's exactly what we did. I mean, we ended up, we figured we'll take advantage of when they have one of their busiest, and actually we were a little bit late setting up, so some of the crowd had actually like died down, because normally they got a line going all the way out to the parking lot. So, but that's what we did. We figured, hey, this is perfect production value. We just set up some signs and said we're filming. We kind of lit the thing and set up the jib and the camera and just got lots of great crowd shots. And then for the shots where we were doing the actual scripted scenes with them standing in line talking, for that, we actually only had about maybe 10, 15 people standing behind them. But when you intercut it with those big shots of the crowds, it just looks like we were in there the whole time. So, yeah. If you go back and watch those scenes where they're standing in the lines talking, there's really only like 10 people standing behind them. But the way we position them, you can't really tell. So.
No, I sure thought that you were filming while all those people were there, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. Well, I guess the illusion worked.
It did. Now, I know that Indie Flix, our podcast, we talk about a lot of like low budget indie films. What was the budget on this?
So I would say this movie wasn't even a low budget. It was really a no budget movie because it was me and my buddy Jeff and Kent who kind of just put up our own money as we went. And then Todd, he helped out by letting us use the park, but then he also, there were a couple times, so there were a lot of things we shot that already were there, but then there were times where we needed certain scenes, like the holding room with the dog or like the torture room. So he was willing to actually build some of those sets as long as he could incorporate it in the park. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. So, and another way we kind of saved money is we ended up shooting this thing over a series of weekends, kind of spread out throughout a year or two. Kind of took a while to make the thing. So it's kind of hard to give you an actual number for the budget. All said and done, probably all the money, put together to make this thing, I would say probably came out to maybe around $45,000, nothing more than 50 grand for sure. So
right.
I guess you could, it just depends. I mean, I know Todd had his expenses with building the place, building the sets and some of that stuff that, did get incorporated in the park. But no, it was definitely a movie where we were just kind of throwing our money together and making the things. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to give you an official number.
No, it's fine. We're just very impressed with the quality of the film based on it being a low to no budget film.
Well, the thing that gave it, that production value was a combination of being able to have access to all the stuff that was already built.
Right.
So we had that production value, which that's the thing, if you had to incorporate what, it would cost to build all that stuff, then yeah, of course it would go up. But, that's where I knew, hey, we'll have a lot of production value just being able to use what we got. So, and I think that's a good rule of thumb for a lot of indie movies. Like I specifically wrote a script around what I knew I had access to there. That was able to give me that, production value to use versus if I would have just written something, now we got to go out and scout it and find it. So I would say, if you're looking to make a movie, see what you have access to and kind of work around that.
Right. Take advantage of what you can use. Absolutely. I agree. There's a lot of places in Indiana that are perfect places to film. You just have to get those places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And I would say we literally used every square inch of that park. We had to get creative with some different things, but yeah, we definitely took advantage of everything we could use around there. So.
Awesome. Well, I know that this is probably a question that most filmmakers hate, but are you considering a sequel to this movie since it's opened up to possibly having one, or even a prequel, since those VHS tapes date back years?
Right. Yeah, they're real high tech there with their VHS tapes. So for the longest time, we actually started working on a script for the second one. There actually is a script that at the moment has probably kind of been put on pause, but I can tell you what we were, if I had to, now I have to remember everything that we were working on, but so the sequel was going to go into more depth about who the people were actually running the actual park. And we came up with this whole kind of cool story of how it kind of went into the occult, and it wasn't just about making money. It was also about sort of this sacrifice, and it dated back to these witches, and like it had a whole backstory that would be really cool. And maybe one day we'll delve into it. Right now, we're not, there's nothing on the table, but there definitely is a full script that we started working on that you probably need to just jump back into one of these days. And so, and we had some of the characters from, some of the villains from Talon Falls, like Purvis, the guy with the pig mask on, and the doctor, and a couple other ones. The big rule of thumb with horror films is you can kill off all your main actors, but you never kill off your villains.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you exclusive with horror films, or do you dabble in other things?
No, not at all. What's kind of funny is right as I was doing Talon Falls, this other movie fell in my lap, which was a family-friendly drama comedy about a family that has lost one of their kids got killed in an accident, and it's kind of about them dealing with grief and moving on, called Chasing Ghosts, that actually came out in 2014. And so that was a complete opposite genre. And one of the things that attracted me to doing that was the fact that it was completely opposite from Talon Falls. I love all movies. And I think the reason, once again, why I did Talon Falls was because that was something that just I had access to. So it was like, let's write a movie around this. But I'm into, I'm into a little bit of everything. Recently what I've been doing is doing more, kind of transition more into the cinematography aspect of it. So in the last couple of years, I've actually I just DP'd a Western down in Texas, and then I just DP'd a Western up here in Tennessee that's actually getting ready to come out in June, I believe. It's called Potter's Drop.
Yeah, the cinematography in Talon Falls is awesome. Just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm
I got to give credit to, that was a mixture of, that was really, so my cinematographer, Jeff Steinborn, and then, we just worked really closely together on that. But yeah, no, that was fun coming up with shots and how to light it and all of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I'm helping produce a horror movie here in Indiana. And I was like, whoever is the cinematographer on that movie, we should get him because it's so good.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, there were a lot of times where we had to do a mixture of, using our actual movie lights, but then a lot of it was practical lights that we just kind of built into the set to be able to kind of incorporate it with that whole haunted house kind of feel. It was, I remember when we were shooting the thing, it was, we had to kind of come up with, if you've ever been to an actual haunted house, they're pretty dark, so you actually really can't see much of what you're looking at all. So
right.
It was kind of a fine line of how do we light this thing, but also keep it dark. So
yeah. So aside from the movie you just talked about, is there anything else upcoming from you?
Well, the Western that I DP'd down in Texas, Corsicana, is just locked. It's that. So that thing is being going through post right now. So that'll be coming out. So it's really, I've got 2 Westerns coming out basically that I was the cinematographer on. So
awesome.
And then as far as directing anything, there's a couple of things. I still have a short film that I shot that I directed called The Friend Zone that hasn't come out yet, but should be coming out hopefully later this year sometime.
Awesome. Well, we can find you on Facebook, Instagram, all the good things like that.
Yeah, Instagram is where I tend to be most these days, where I post, I post a lot of my work on there as far as brain grabs and stuff and different projects I'm working on and shooting. So. Okay,
and Talon Falls can be found, is it on Amazon Prime?
Yes, I believe it's on Amazon Prime. It might be on Tubi TV right now as well, where you can watch it for free. But you can always pick up a physical copy of it on Amazon, which I believe you guys did.
That's what we did. Yes. Yeah. Had to dust off the old DVD player.
Oh yeah. Did you? One thing that's kind of cool on there is a pretty cool 10-minute behind the scenes.
Oh, I watched the behind the scenes stuff. It was great.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because that kind of gives you a little idea of what we went through to make the thing. So.
Exactly. Yeah, because I saw the raw footage and then what it became. Yeah. Oh, just amazing work.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that was fun. That was fun putting together. We tried to shoot as much as we could, and then, cell phones weren't as good at the time of shooting behind the scenes, but we got some good footage for it. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate you sitting down and talking with us, and I hope that you check out our podcast talking about Talon Falls. It'll be released on Thursday. So.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.